not just me. Take a little beat. All right. I'd like to welcome everybody to the regular meeting, Thursday, January 17th, they have 18 on here. It's 2019.
Thank you.
At the Veterans Memorial Building at 6 p.m., located at 209 Surf Street, Morro Bay, California. And welcome everybody in the audience, and I'd like to welcome all those listening at home, and glad you're attending to listen to us instead of all the excitement that's on TV. I see we have a quorum, so I'd like to officially call this meeting to order, and we'll start with a moment of silence, please. You at home, too. All right, thank you. And we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. And Mike, would you like to start us out with this one?
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. We'll start with announcements and presentations. So we'll start with anybody on the commission have any announcements they want to do?
Nope, not today, thank you.
Slow New Year's.
Well, wait a minute. I do have an announcement.
Okay.
Saturday, there's a pickleball tournament. It's a fun tournament.
Is your mic on? Is the green light on?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's called the Dot Tournament, so everybody kind of dresses up and they've got polka dots on them all over. So it's going to be a fun tournament. So if anybody wants to come out and watch, it starts at 9, probably finish by 1. So everybody's welcome, and we're planning on having it's all filled, the tournament's filled, and we even have people on the waiting list. So
Wow,
it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's located
At Delmar Park.
Delmar Park.
Is the ball going to be polka dotted, so it'll be kind of, you'll lose it in your outfit?
Well,
you never know where it is?
since it's already got holes in it, kind of looks like polka dots.
All right. I just wanted to bring out, I was at the banquet on December, what it was, the awards for volunteers and all that, their presentation volunteers. And a lady come up to me and said, what about swimming? Why don't we have swimming? And I go, really? So I want everybody to know, go to our website, which is, I'll let Kurt give it to us, and then you can see all the events we have. I mean, we have, what do we have, like 100-some events going on? I mean, as far as activities in the rec center and the community building.
Yes.
We have the swimming and kids. I mean, just go there. You'll see anything you want. And if it's not there, bring it to our attention, and we'll be glad to see if we can't get enough response to make it part of our program. So it's up to you to bring these programs forward and show your interest. And what is the website, Kurt? Do you have?
The website is morro-bay.ca.us.
Great. So there you go. It'll list everything we have. And yes, we do have swimming in the mornings and in the afternoons at the high school. So there we go. And I'll turn it over to the staff if they have any announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I would like to formally introduce the newest addition to the Recreation Services Division. Charlie Lowe is our administrative technician, sitting next to me.
Welcome.
And I do have a few more. Starting with a donation recently received by Morro Bay Senior Center Incorporated. We received $270 of a sponsorship towards a youth basketball program. So they sponsored 2 teams, one girls and one boys team. We also, kind of banking on what you had just mentioned, Mr. Chairman, on the screen there is our aquatics program information from December 1st through March 31st. So we do schedule in these short periods of time because we are scheduling around the school's use. So as their sports and activities change, then so do our times. However, we have been pretty consistent with the same time of Monday through Fridays. early morning swim, and then the noontime swim as well as Sunday. But there are a number of cancellations that we contend with based on the activities again, or playoffs or things of that nature with water polo and swimming. So check our website again, Morrow-Bay. I have to look. .ca.us. Okay. Along with that, yes, it does that. Thank you. An exciting event coming up is our 55 Plus Health and Wellness Fair, and this is I believe, our second annual. This, let's see, not this Saturday, but the following Saturday, January 26, 2019, and we'll be starting that off at 9 a.m. with just a host of good booths and folks there discussing health and wellness. So there is a door prize of $200 cash for your attendance. We were trying to get some folks to come on out and check it out. So please do come by and see what is going on in our community center. It's not specific to seniors, but rather it is a health and wellness fair. So come on out, check it out. We also have our newly named Estero Bay Girls Softball. It was the Central Coast Softball, I believe we called it, but this year we're going with a new name, new attitude. 2019 Estero Bay Girls Softball. Registration is open now, and you can get onto the website to check out the specifics for that program. I do have a bocce court update, and this is in lieu of putting a staff report together. I've been doing these verbally. This is recent information that just came from our Public Works office regarding the schedule for the court, and what I see at the very bottom right is a completion date of May 10th. So we're in the process, we're moving forward, it's exciting news, and we'll leave that up just for a little bit so you can check it out, but there will be some comment periods before we come forward with the final design, and then I think construction will go pretty quick, so very excited to see that moving forward.
Kurt,
Sir.
will we get a copy of the design too?
I can certainly make that available, yes.
All right, thank you.
And then one more announcement regarding the Amgen tour, which at last meeting did mention that we were selected for a host city for a finish line. We are still that, and the date is May 15th. So we'll be looking forward to a couple of ancillary events that will take place around the finish time. So I believe during the day we're looking at some kind of a community bike ride that's in the works right now, as well as a VIP event that evening at one of our local music spots. So keep your ears and eyes open for more information to come.
Well, that's wonderful. Real honor.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And with that, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
All right. So we'll open up to public comment. Do we have any public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment and bring it back to the commission. So we'll go over the consent calendar. Has all the commissioners had a chance to look over the calendar? And do I have approval to accept the consent calendar?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve the calendar for file.
Motion's made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So consent calendar is approved. So we'll move on to public hearings, but we have none. So we'll go on to business items. C1, take it away, Mr. Carmichael.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a quick staff report regarding the Citizens Bike Committee bicycle pedestrian improvement requests. So we do have, the city has a Citizens Bike Committee that forwards their recommendations information to your commission for your review and discussion, and then we'll take that information and forward to City Council as our recommendations. Really what we're looking for are 3 to 5 safety-related items to be suggested, and those are coming from Tier 1. As you'll see in the attachment, there's a Tier 1, 2, and 3. So we're looking for the safety-related items in Tier 1, and then prioritizing a couple of items from 2 and 3. We do have a guest speaker to discuss this. Our council member, Red Davis, who is the liaison to the Rec and Parks Commission to the council, is here to speak, as he is a member of the Citizens Bike Committee. So if you gentlemen would like to take a look and offer up some recommendations, ask questions of Mr. Davis, we can do that, unless Mr. Davis would like to step up and offer comments prior to that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Red Davis. I'm speaking tonight as a private citizen. As a private citizen and former chair of the Citizens Bike Committee, I helped individuals in the community compile a list of improvements for both bicycling and pedestrian facilities throughout the city. And you can see on the second page of the report the names of the people who have endorsed this list. The Tier 1 15 projects are related to safety. And so those, of course, are the most critical for the city to address. So what the Citizens Bike Committee is asking tonight is for your review and recommendation of the most important of those Tier 1 projects to be forwarded to council. And then my expectation is that during goal setting workshop to be held, I think in late February, that your recommendation will be considered and as part of the city's goals. So I'll go sit down now, and if you have questions as you proceed through your deliberations, I'll be happy to come back and answer them. Yes?
Okay, I have one quick one for you. Going through, I noticed you said use rectangular blocks rather than solid to save. Has there been research done on, are they still adequate to the rectangular blocks versus the solid paint?
Yes, and we have examples of those at several places throughout the city now. One is on San Jacinto, east of Highway 1, one section, and there's a section on Main Street at the top of the hill as you are southbound approaching Quintana. You can see, it looks like a dashed line. So even though it's not a solid block of green, it certainly catches the eye, and it's half as expensive as doing a solid line.
That's good. I was just wondering though, like, when you're driving a solid white line, you're not, but a dashed line, you can cross it. So would that be confusing for the drivers, you think? If it's just a dashed line, maybe they think they can get in that lane?
Well, certainly that is one of the purposes of a dashed line, is to notify motorists that, yes, they can cross that lane. However, the green serves as a visual warning that something is out of the ordinary, and in this case, it's a bike lane. So certainly if a bicyclist is in that lane, the motorist should not cross the lane and hit the bicyclist.
Okay. So just on these other, where you say repaint some of these lines, when you redo that, are you going, or make new bike lanes, are you going to do the rectangulars, or are you going to want to do it solid? I was just wondering how that would work.
I don't know the particulars of that. And using the rectangular blocks is a recommendation. Public Works would make the final determination on that.
Oh, okay. Okay. Open it up to other.
I have a question in regards to the rectangle and so I'm trying to comprehend the reason for the change. Wouldn't it be better to have a consistent aspect throughout the city rather than having, some areas have the rectangles, some areas have solid, and like he said, that as a driver, where do you distinguish? In other words, we're throwing something out that mandates for the driver of a car to understand what he can or she can and cannot do. So if you have a consistency throughout the city, I think that we should be concerned about that.
And that should certainly be part of your deliberation tonight and in your recommendation that you forward to council.
Thank you.
Kevin?
Yes, I have a quick question. Wonderful job here with the Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. It's in numerical order. Is that in order of your recommendations? The number 1 being the one that you feel is most important, to number 15?
I'm not sure that that is the case. It was not my intention to prioritize them in order. I think they're presented more in the order in which they came in for final compilation. Although I will note that number 1 under Tier 1 is the top priority that's been identified by the County Bicycle Advisory Committee.
And does the painting of these lines, does that require highway, Caltrans approval?
I don't know.
Okay, just wondering.
That would depend upon the location, I'm sure. For instance, a crosswalk on the northbound on-ramp at Main Street, that's within Caltrans right-of-way. And although I don't think repainting an existing line is going to require getting permission.
Okay. Well, I have noticed there's been quite a bit of improvement, though, and it really does make it easier to tell where you're not supposed to drive. It'd be interesting to see. I hadn't seen a driver's handbook in years. If bicycles are clearly defined, if those types of things are clearly defined, so when people who are getting their licenses realize what these things are. And I was also wondering, when I was a young man, once a year the police would show up at the high school and give a safety lecture about bicycles, the maintenance and obviously the roads, the rules of the road. I wonder if Morro Bay High has any sort of program like that, or if our police have ever gone there to, make sure that they know the safe bike habits.
That's a great idea, and it's an additional idea that I would recommend that your commission review tonight and consider as part of your deliberations.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
If I could interject, I do know that the police department here will conduct a bicycle rodeo at Del Mar Elementary School.
Oh, great. That's great.
Okay, so I think, I talked to Mr. Carmichael earlier, and I think what we would do is throw it out here and see if you guys agree, kind of look at all the the priorities, and then figure out what we think maybe might be the most important ones, 1 through 5 on each category or something like that, and then kick it around and come up with what we think is it, and then maybe we'll write them down, and Mr. Carmichael and I will get together with the city attorney and who else was it? Oh, and
with the city manager.
City manager, yes, and go over those, and that way, because naturally there's a lot here, and we can't do them all. I mean, right off the bat, we know that. So if we can pick out what we feel is the most important, then we'll get them all organized and present them to the city council, and maybe each commission is going to get these, I think, and so they can all put those together, and then they'll have time to copulate which, say, 4 commissions say this is the most important, and they'll start with that and work their way from that. So I think if that's okay, that's how we'll do it.
If I could interject, Mr. Chairman, we discussed that process with our item C2 on the goals. However, this does play into the city goals process that we're working on now. Both this item and C2, we're at a little bit of a disadvantage as compared to other city commissions and boards, because we don't meet every month, we meet every other month. And the city goals, really the bigger meetings are going to take place towards mid to late February. So because of that, we had suggested forming the subcommittee to discuss either the city citizens bike committee recommendations or the listing that you have in front of you or the goals process.
Okay.
So, again, normally we would take a look at this and discuss and maybe come back in February if we did hold a meeting, to have that conversation again to finalize. It's a little bit difficult, I think, to make that all happen tonight unless you gentlemen feel that we can't accomplish that. So it's certainly up to you.
Well, I kind of crossed up. I got confused on that. Sorry.
That's okay, though, because they tie in together.
But do they need these for the goals in March and February?
These, as Mr. Davis did mention, these will work themselves into the greater city goals process.
So maybe maybe what we could do is, if it's all right with everybody, maybe like not do it immediately tonight, but we have them all in front of us, and we could just go home and kind of evaluate them and read through them really close, rate them 1 through 5 on each one, or whatever we want to do to pick out the best one. And then when we get them all, maybe in a week, we could get together and give them to you, and then you could present them to the goals. Would that work?
We can certainly do that. You want to be mindful of Brown Act violations where we're not working together with a couple of you guys, discussing it. It's supposed to be an independent
All individual
process.
Yes.
But we can do that. You can come forward with those, or we can move forward with the subcommittee as we had discussed, or a combination of the two.
Oh, could we have a workshop? Would that be okay with the rules? Or do we have to have a meeting to gather together?
A workshop inviting the community, do you mean, or what? A workshop?
Well, yeah, we could invite the community, but we could all of us could get together and talk more about it.
That's a great question. I'm not the expert in the Brown Act,
Okay.
but that makes sense to me. It certainly, I don't think we'd put something together for community input because that's the purpose of the Citizens Bike Committee as they came forward with these.
Okay.
So the recommendation, so we're really looking at a recommendation from you five.
Oh, okay.
But if you feel that we need to get together, all of us and have a sit down and process it, I think we can certainly arrange something. I can figure out those rules and we can move forward with something like that.
Okay. In this, are the police involved with this on a safety aspect level? Because some of these things, like number 7, where it says, to paint the solid blocks as opposed, or to paint segmented blocks as opposed to solid blocks of color to save money. The only problem with that is when you see something that's segmented, it means you can cross it. Where you can't cross a double yellow line, but you can cross a segmented yellow line.
Yes.
So if you're not supposed to be driving in there, things like that, like to ask a peace officer what the rules are, because it might might have to be solid to keep cars out. Just so there's no, it makes it easier for people to do the right thing.
Sure, I understand.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and I couldn't speak to whether or not the police or Public Works were involved in the formation of this document with the bike committee, but I do know that the chief of police as well as the Public Works director will be involved with the goal-setting process, and we can certainly vet that concern at that time.
Okay.
But I think keeping in mind, though, if it's a dashed line, it still allows you to move into that lane
Right,
regardless of
that's
its
what I'm
color.
saying. If you want to keep them out, it has to be solid.
Correct.
Right. But the main goals are safety and to encourage people to use their bicycles more. Is
Yes,
that
sir.
Great.
Any other opinions? So I guess we need to figure out, would you rather just take time and maybe go home and figure all this out, or you want to throw it out right now, or
Well-
would you rather do it later and maybe see if we can't call a meeting in a week or two, and just a quick meeting to say this is what we come up with, and then we can, put it all down and pass it on?
I think we might be able to come up with something now. I mean, the main thing is to make sure these things are well marked and well maintained, the bike lanes and striping and such. And it's a great idea to have some places to park bicycles, bike racks, and then to include it if they have if we have a big event that we have a nice upfront bicycle parking, so it's to your advantage to ride your bicycle to one of our events.
I think,
Free, safe, right up front bike parking is a great idea.
and I like especially number 8, that crosswalk at Limos. I would
Yes.
appreciate that. myself.
Yes.
I think that would be very important.
I have one question with that. You know, there's a signal light, what, 200 feet from there? Would that be in a conflict with that signal light? Because you got people starting in, all of a sudden they're going to have, why don't we just make sure they know that's where they should cross? And then that will, because otherwise you're going to have cars stop, and, you know, be very, it might be more of a problem. I was looking at that too, and I thought,
Crosswalk,
maybe we could force them to use the signal
oh.
light to cross instead
Yes, they
of
should
200
cross at
feet
the
down.
signal. No, they should cross at the signal. That'd be the safest thing.
And how would you?
Yeah, because they're already stopped.
Well, that would be the green
Post some
line goes there and then
signs.
it go across.
Yeah.
Go
And then
across
make
that
sure
signal light.
Something needs to be done there. And
Yeah.
so
Oh, for
it
safety, yeah, I know.
Ended up being,
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's a button there, but maybe there should be a button so that you can
Yeah.
make the light activate, but then make sure that the light gives you enough time to get across with your bicycle.
Right.
Yeah, we definitely probably should have some signage there, because, yes, it'd be much safer with the light than people getting speed up going down that hill, and then somebody's in the crosswalk. I think that's, yeah, much safer with the light. Yeah, and you don't want anything near that tunnel, because it's a very hard place to see.
Yeah.
So the further from that, I think the safer.
Well, another place is coming off of 1 right onto San Jacinto, and then you have the service road right next to it. I mean, I'm there, I go through there every day, and of course I take my time because depending on who's there, I mean, it's,
Yeah.
I'm glad that, of course, I'm not aware of if anybody's had a problem there, but boy, I'll tell you what, you have to be aware, because people are, coming off of 1, they do not have to stop. They come out, they're coming up 1 northbound, they turn in, and with no signal light, no nothing, you don't know if they're going to go straight, turn left, or turn right. They, and then I'm thinking about somebody on a bike. Boy, if your back is to them, and they don't, so far, I guess we haven't had a problem, but boy, it's a place waiting for an accident, that's for sure.
Are there any bicycle helmet laws in the city? Any ordinances? I'm just wondering if
I'm not
under 18
familiar.
you should wear a helmet.
I think that's a state law.
Oh, it's a state law, yeah.
Under 18, I believe.
Oh, okay.
18?
Okay.
Mr. Davis, do you know?
18, huh? I thought it was 16.
Oh.
Under
Okay.
18 state law.
Okay,
Okay.
that's good to know. I wasn't sure.
So then, do we want to, all these are very good suggestions. Do we want to kind of throw out, we don't want to, do all 15 and review them. I think we should pick the top 5, what we think is most important.
That's
Maybe?
correct. We're looking for 3 to 5 safety-related,
Okay.
those items from Tier 1.
Okay, so,
Well, number 1's definitely, in my opinion, important. Make sure all they're properly marked and maintained.
well, I think the crosswalks at the schools are very important.
Yes. And that the green be painted in solid instead of not solid. I think that's safer, even if it
Okay.
costs a little more.
Well, my thought again is just let's have consistency,
Right. And they're all solid now, I think.
Yeah.
So keep them solid.
of what I've seen so far.
Yes, me too.
And with the white broken lines.
No, just solid.
Well, no,
just
yes, the
solid-
white
Solid
broken
green
line
with
and the
the
solid green.
Well, solid green.
Either
Because the broken
solid
white
line,
lines means
yeah.
you can cross the green
Yeah.
at that point. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Absolutely. Yep.
And then
There
I
you go.
suggest that we put some signage, or think about putting some signage up at that Main Street and Quintana to make that like the official bicycle crossing with that light.
Bicycle pedestrian crossing.
Right, correct. Yes. I think that'd be the
And make sure we
safest.
paint.
Is there a sidewalk though there?
There is on both sides.
Okay, yeah, okay. As long as there's somewhere to go to get down there, because this is to connect the bicycle trail to the rest, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Okay. So yeah, definitely some improvements at that crosswalk, number 8.
So that's 3. I think that's probably,
It's a safe route.
I think number 11 has some good points to it too, because if they're riding down in Barricadero and they want to go over to the Harbor Walk, there's no real designated where they can do it, so they're crossing all over the place, and, you know, a lot of times, there's a lot of cars use that street. So I think we use a designated cross there somewheres, then they'll know that's pedestrian, bicycle crossing, beware, and they can stop for the pedestrians or the bicyclists to go across. So I think that would be a good one to put in there, make sure we do that.
Okay.
Well, mine would have been 5 because of the San Jacinto thing.
Oh, okay, so we're
Yeah,
on
down
6
there.
already?
Well, I've got 1. I've seen,
Oh, number 2 is important. We took that too. 1 and 2 for the crosswalks at the school.
Yeah, 1 and 2.
And then
And then was it,
the crosswalk at Limos,
yep,
move it up to the signal light. And then, like I said, 11 for the crosswalk on the Embarcadero?
Correct.
So that's pretty much 5?
yeah.
From that first set, yes.
Yeah. So we have those documented?
Sure.
Right now, I show item, or numbers 1, 2, 8, and 11. And number 5, was that your other selection?
No.
Yeah, the San Jacinto situation has to be looked at.
Yeah.
You know, they're making recommendations when you look at 4 and 5, I mean, it's all, I'm surprised that they didn't intermingle that as one,
combine it?
combine that. So, you know, I mean, they've got a lot done there, but,
Yeah, 5 would tie in with 4.
Yeah.
It ties in with 4.
yeah.
Well, isn't the signal light at San Jacinto, isn't it tuned into walking? So it's almost, well, you're supposed to walk your bike anyway across, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Supposed to.
Yeah, well, what you're supposed to do and what the public does is 2 different
Yeah.
things. I mean,
So I don't-
I've seen more bikes ride across that than walk across it. Now, the other designation is if they're in the crosswalk, they're supposed to be, of my knowledge, they're supposed to be walking. But if they're in a lane,
Yes, they're
they can ride their bike, but now they're subject to the same rules as someone driving a car.
right.
They're subject to those rules. So, you know, do they all understand that? Who knows? I'm sure some do, and I'm sure some don't. The other one that has always concerned me is you get on South Bay Boulevard, they got a bike lane out there, and you got 8 people, and they're riding abreast of each other.
Yeah, they are.
You know, and I really question that, because believe me, I've been there plenty of times going to, whether I'm going to Costco or wherever, Los Osos, where the handlebars of one bike are actually in the lane.
Yeah.
And I really question that. I would have thought that they would be riding
Well, the law is single, but
a single, but, you know, but then again, you know, people are going to do what they do, but what we have to look at, I think, is trying to make it as safe as we can for them. And if we're doing that, I think we're doing our jobs, and they have to abide by what our concerns are.
So are we saying the recommendation is 4 and 5 should be combined, and then we offer that as the recommendation?
That's what I would think.
Okay.
Good start.
okay. Okay, so I think we've given some fodder to chew on there.
Yeah.
So we want to move on now to second tier.
Mr. Chairman, if I can interrupt and just to refresh or to repeat here, we've got items number 1 and 2, combine 4 with 5, 8 and 11.
Correct.
That should do it.
Okay, thank you. I think this next task to prioritize these items, well, you go ahead and have discussion and we'll see where it goes before I say anything.
Yeah, well, do we have any opinions on any of the tier 2?
Yes, I think, I like two, that number 17, I think bike stations down there at Harbor Walk would be a nice addition. And I think that we need to continue to use our website. And number 19, post the city's bike rec program on the website. Encourage more and more people to go there.
Yeah,
We
I
don't do
like,
it enough. People don't go to that website enough. It's
Right.
a nice.
Well, when you look at 19, to me it says, you go to the website to look at the bike rack program. Why can't we make it a little bit further of
bike parking.
bike parking, accentuate that a little
Yeah, yeah.
bit. So it draws the people that are going on the website to draw their attention to that. I mean, bike parking. Okay. Does that mean I can freestand it with a kickstand? But this says rack. So are you just looking for a rack? Where can I put my bike? So a little more information in regards to that.
Right. I think that's what number 18 is saying, that they want to look at the city and see where it'd be appropriate to have bicycle parking, where it's not on the sidewalk, where it's in a good, convenient, safe place.
Right. So again, you just like what we did before, you could integrate 19 right into 18. Because it all has to do with parking a bike.
Yeah.
So maybe combine those.
Well, looking at number 21, the require bike valet as a condition for all major events, I would suggest that they just had a bike corral, not necessarily have a valet to actually park their bicycles, but to have a special, upfront place for the bicycle people to park, which would encourage them to ride their bicycles.
Yeah.
So 21, I like. That's a good one.
Will not take out the valet, though.
Yeah, take
Make
out
it
the valet.
Make it
Just
a
have
more convenient place for them to park.
Right.
Close to the entrance,
Right.
wherever we're
A
going.
bike
wherever
corral.
it's happening. Yeah.
So I'll bring up 20. It's listed here, and I'm not aware of the ordinances, all the ordinances in the city, but on new developments, both multi-resident and commercial developments, aren't they incorporating certain aspects in the development that they're going to have to have that within that project, in the planning of that project? I'm not sure how the city goes into that effect.
There's
See-
no requirement now for them to do it.
Is there?
No, there isn't.
There isn't, no.
Okay.
But I mean, what's to say that people are going to want to go to these places on a bicycle?
Right.
I think it should be more.
Yeah, no,
If you're gonna have bicycle parking, that it should be in logical places where people would tend to go.
Sure.
Not necessarily if somebody's building a new apartment at the far end of town,
Yeah.
where nobody's gonna have a need to go
No,
there.
I totally agree with that.
I don't think an ordinance is the right way to handle it.
Yeah.
I think we should have look at where people are more likely to want to take their
Yeah.
bicycles.
Sometimes in the developments, they have conditions based on the development and the size of the development.
Right.
And the city may put that condition on that development, that you have to accommodate a certain percentage or whatever, So
I'm not familiar.
I don't
with
think
But
it's
unless
that
I'm reading
important.
wrong, isn't 20 more about storage than anything?
that. Oh,
Well, no, they want,
well,
I mean, bike
yeah.
lockers, I mean, whether
Someplace
it's
to tie 'em up and
residential
store 'em, yeah.
or.
Well, to be
place of
honest with you,
employment.
have you ever seen a bike locker?
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen
Oh,
one.
yeah.
yeah.
I used to live in Washington DC and they had them at the metro stations.
Yeah.
I mean, when I think of a locker, I'm thinking of an enclosed situation.
Yeah.
They were actually,
It's kind of like a square rectangular box. And there would be like several of them.
there must have been a lot of theft back there.
No.
I'm just kidding.
No, it's just, storage and elements and everything like
Yeah.
that.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
Very common.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't see-
DC is very bike-friendly.
Yes.
My son lives
with
back
all
there.
the trails back there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of the towns are just going to major bike things.
yeah.
So I could see, especially like if you're building a apartment complex and you got 2 or 3 stories, you're not going to tote your bike up 3 stories. So they should allow someplace. There should be something in there, certain number allow bike things for that. But I think that's more for the city codes than for us to really deal with. But
And that's the intent of this item, is they're asking, or they're looking
there's
at
some opinions on what they're doing.
drafting an ordinance that would speak to that. So if there's a development of an apartment complex, as you had mentioned, Mr. Chairman, then that would be the purpose, is to make sure that they do have bicycle storage. And then with the commercial development, that might speak to, what you gentlemen were talking about before, is if you're going to visit an area of a commercial development, have some bike racks out in front where you can put your bike. So it is, they're looking to see if this is a recommended item to draft an ordinance that would go into the planning office as a condition of any development.
I don't think so. I mean, you buy a place, you can have a garage to put your car in.
Yeah, but a lot of the apartments, well, like a lot of them in town, I see they have carports. You see their bike in front right there tied up. But there's a lot of thefts over the bikes just sitting around. So unless you lock it up properly, you're going to. I've seen one tied up down here somewhere. They just did the frame. When they come out, there's no tires on it. Just the frame there locked to the pole. But whoop-de-doo.
Wow.
So I could see where if it's a multi-level, maybe a supply somewheres where they could lock their bikes up safely, or, I don't know if they have to have elevators, or they could even use elevators for them, but still, you don't want to keep it in your room. So
All right.
that's a possibility. So do we have maybe 2 or 3 we want to really throw out there as we feel we should throw it into the mix?
Well, I'm kind of partial to 25.
Yes, that's a very dangerous intersection, South Bay and Quintana. People come off that freeway, it's downhill, and they get going pretty fast. So yes,
Yeah, if you watch people
yes.
play Frogger, it's,
Right, well, if somebody slows down to make a left, and the car will pass them on the right, which is totally against the law. So yeah, something there would probably be a very prudent thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
25. That one is easy to agree with. Create a bike corral.
So I used to ride that back trail there at PG&E. Where was the flooding on there? It says prevent flooding at Class 1 multi-use trail beside PG&E. What are they talking about there?
Near the driveway that goes into the PG&E property,
Oh,
at the beginning of the bike trail, there's a creek, seasonal creek, that comes down and crosses the bike trail.
oh.
And the bike trail was constructed below the floodplain level, so that when we have a heavy rain, about a 200-foot section of the bike trail goes underwater, and then after the water recedes, what is left
Mud.
is mud and debris that requires cleaning by the city.
So maybe instead of trying to build it up higher, could they put a culvert under it to run it around under it?
Whatever would alleviate the flooding, sure.
Well, we should at least suggest that the city engineer look at it and give us his
Yeah.
opinion, since he
Yeah.
knows more about that than we do.
Of course, I used to love riding through the water,
Well,
splash,
yeah,
put
I
your feet
know.
up and go, right? Okay. So what do we got? We got 25, 26, what other ones? Oh,
18?
18 and 19 combined,
18, 19 put together?
Yeah.
and 17. Right, Kevin?
Mr. Chairman, if I might, we're asking for the tier 2 and 3 for your commission to prioritize all of these items.
Oh, all of them? Oh. Now you're putting pressure on us.
Yes.
Thanks, Kurt.
And if you feel we might better serve the council by calling another meeting
I think that would be better.
or developing.
Instead of trying to do it, you know, we have time to sit down and think
Study
over this
stuff.
stuff.
Take it home, yeah.
So why don't we do that? We could just,
Or develop, or the subcommittee as well, we can look at that, as opposed to a formal meeting of the commission.
so is everybody open to maybe having a little special
I have
meeting?
no problem with that. That's fine.
Fine.
Now, how does Mr. City Council member, the Brown Act, how would it be if we just had a meeting of the 5 of us to discuss this? Do we have a problem with that?
Yeah, we have to call a meeting.
Well, any meeting of a quorum or more of your commission would require public
Notice?
notice, and AGP, it'd be just like what you're doing tonight.
But if you have just 2, then you don't have to, correct? Is that it?
That's correct. It's-
Yeah, you
it's-
have to have a quorum, if I'm not mistaken, under the Brown Act.
To
think
conduct
it's
a
just
meeting.
I think
you
it's
have
more
to.
than 2.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So 3
3 is not a quorum.
For this commission,
okay.
3 is a quorum.
Oh, it is?
3 is a
Oh,
quorum.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So if you establish a subcommittee of 2 people to make the decisions on behalf of the entire commission, then you could move forward that way.
But then could say, just for instance, you 2 are on the subcommittee, could they, like, one at a time call Mike and say, how do you want to list them?
No.
Because that'd be kind of going around, but they wouldn't work that way?
Yeah, you can't do that.
Can't do that.
Because it'd be up just to those 2 to do it. We wouldn't put our input in then. So
Yeah.
we're trying to figure out how we could all put our input in and come up with a good,
Yeah, a subcommittee of
That's why you have a
2
meeting.
could develop whatever list it is that you want to look at, and then bring it back to another meeting of the full committee for review and approval.
okay, but we don't have the time for that. So that's why we need to,
Well, I think actually the staff recommendation was that you only choose from Tier 1 safety to forward to council. If you want to go beyond that and prioritize the rest of these, that's not staff's recommendation for council.
okay.
That would be strictly for your own benefit for future projects.
I think we did what they asked.
yeah, so we did the safety one already. So
Right.
we're good to go?
Yeah,
Maybe we can, we'll just study the rest on our own just to maybe throw more input at the next meeting when the city council has a meeting or whatever for this.
sure.
Okay, well, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
All right, so with that, I move that we go on with the next agenda item, if that's okay. All clear?
Sounds great.
Mr. Chairman, we'll need a motion regarding your priorities.
Okay, do I have a motion to, as we so stated, for the priorities of the safety to put that into document or whatever, put it into the records?
Yes, I make a motion that be accepted to record, our recommendations be accepted to record.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? It's none, so we have it carried. Thank you.
So just to reiterate, so we're accurate here, so your recommendation for Tier 1 items would include numbers 1, 2, combining 4 and 5, number 8, and number 11
Yes,
as your
Correct.
top priorities for Tier 1.
that's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay,
Thank
moving
you,
on
Mr.
to agenda
Davis.
number 2. It's, you were going to bring that up, or?
Back to me, thank you. Item C2 is a portion of the greater project that the city and city council are working on for 2019 and 2020 city council goals and objectives. Short of me rereading the summary, what we're looking for is your recommendation. Let's see, pardon me. We're looking for your discussion and to provide input on the city council goals and objectives. And as I had mentioned before, we're at a disadvantage as compared to other commissions or boards because we meet every other month. And this goal-setting process will take place towards the end of February, so that we missed that window of opportunity. This is where it was suggested to me by the city manager that we consider a subcommittee for this goals and objectives portion, item C2. So we can take a look, and really what we're trying to do is we're looking for your recommendations that are specific to recreation and parks that fall in line with our city goals. There isn't anything in the city goals right now that is specific to parks and recreation. So I'm going to leave it at that and let you gentlemen have a discussion about items that you might think are of a priority. And for example, one could be, Mr. Chairman, you've discussed the open streets so that could be maybe add more, bigger scale events or upgrades to park facilities, things of that nature. Mm-hmm. So you don't have a list to draw from. Rather, it's you guys thinking outside the box and kind of coming up with items, that would make sense that the city would entertain as future projects. For example, Skip, I'm assuming you're going to talk pickleball courts.
Well, actually, the first one I was going to talk about was, bocce ball is going forward, but that's still got to be set as a goal in 2019 because it's part of 2019. So is that included into this factor?
Not the pickleball court is supposed to be wrapped up by May of 2019. Bocce by May of 2019.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at fiscal year 1920, which begins July 1. So
Right. Okay.
if everything goes as according to plan, that court will be in place.
Okay.
So it wouldn't fall into this.
The next one, because we see what the attendance is now and the demand
Yes.
at Del Mar for pickleball is, it's just going crazy.
Yes.
And so, we have to look at that, I'm looking at it as not just the benefit of the players, but of everybody as far as hotels and restaurants and everything, because
Right.
the plan is the more courts we have, the more tournaments we have that goes outside of the area to bring in people from, whether it's SLO or Arroyo Grande or Fresno. I mean, we're getting people from Fresno and Visalia, and they're coming over here, and they're spending the weekends. Some have second homes, and they're bringing their trailers and stuff, and they're now they're more of, it just spreads the word that, hey, go to Del Mar Park because they are beautiful courts. I mean, I've been around. Now there are some beautiful courts being put in, and I'm going to show you some after the meeting because I've been in different areas, Arizona and stuff, and you see what's happening. It's amazing. It's just. I'll mention that last year, the beginning of the year, there was 4.6 million people in the United States playing pickleball. At the end of December, it was closing into 8 million.
Wow.
So, and so it's getting spread all over, besides other countries. But, we're concerned, but our main concern is here, Morro Bay. So, what's our goal?
So, and that's what we're looking for are some items to discuss, as you had just brought up, and one being creation of new sport courts or pickleball courts, something of that nature to add to the city's to the process of goals and objectives.
Yeah. Okay.
So
yeah.
And as we can see, this could be a lengthy discussion and debate. And that's why it was suggested or at least discussed with me by the city manager to entertain the subcommittee.
So basically, you want from us anything to do with recreation?
Yes, recreation and parks.
To send into, recreation and parks.
Yes.
To send in to the city to set them as goals.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, one thing on the water reclamation, I know that's not directly to the parks, but I think in the And the recycled water part, I don't know how involved they are as far as getting the parks and the medians and all that, this potable water instead of, into the parks, the water of the parks instead of the main water. I don't know if that's part of the plan or not, but I think it should be definitely looked at and put aside to hook up to the city to facilitate that watering of all these facilities with our recycled water. So that would be one of mine for the water reclamation facility to make sure they look at
Do a
that.
feasibility study.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Should be a priority to really do it and show that we're recycling, and by doing that, we could keep our parks and everything looking a lot greener too. If we're using recycled water, we don't have to depend on water levels. We got it. So that's one for there. And then for the infrastructure and maintenance, I just think we need to really look at being more observant of what the state of our parks and our swings and slides are, and be more on top of getting it done in a fashion to fix whatever the problem is. Like it took us, 6 months to get the fence fixed back at the tennis courts over here, and the slide at the city park was broken for, we wrote numerous letters because we go down over with our granddaughter, and the slide went down, it stopped, and then it started down here, and actually it started higher than when you quit. So you could, cut the kids in half or whatever, and they just had do not cross tape, really, for a long time. So, be more observant of our parks. I would like to really put that into our, because that is, people come to I met a lot of people out of towners, they're at the park with their kids, having recreation with their kids, and I think if our parks are ready for visitors, it'll make our town look more family friendly and bring more tourists in. So that's what I would like to see put into there.
Yeah, I think that I definitely concur with you on that, is the fact that, if I'm not mistaken, Kurt, correct me if I'm not on this, but Public Works is in charge of that now, not Parks and Rec.
That's correct.
And so
That's correct. They're
I would send the
responsible for-
message to Parks and Rec, to Public Works, is that since you've done that, you need to prioritize the safety element within our Parks and Recs areas. It's got to be, because when it like I saw that at Monty Young, and I brought it up at one of the meetings, and it wasn't too long after that they got going on it. But the point of it is somewhere there's got to be a review, whether it's like at Del Mar, you have Bob out there that does a heck of a job at Del Mar. If he sees something, does he come to you? Does he go directly to, who does he go to when he sees a situation that is a safety hazard? And how does that get prioritized?
Yes, when the parks, Recreation and Parks was split up, park maintenance did move to Public Works. So when the maintenance staff is working on the parks, if they do come across a safety issue, that would be reported directly to their supervisor in the Public Works office. They don't report to my office.
Right, yeah, okay,
And how they prioritize, I don't quite know.
yeah,
I think we spoke that before about we need to have a little more cross communication,
we did.
and we
Yes.
brought that up before. So I think that might be one of the goals here, is to get all the commissions maybe to intertalk amongst each other, because there's a lot of things that crisscross borders, more or less. So if we can get more, maybe the chair of each commission take it over to that chair and say, hey, this is what we brought up, you need to look at that, and then do a follow-up, make sure they respond to it.
Yeah, the process that I follow here is once our meetings conclude and there are recommendations or concerns from your commission, I do forward those to the consolidated maintenance superintendent to make him aware of what we discussed, and then he'll take action as deemed necessary or prioritize or however they handle it.
Okay. But is there a way to follow up on it to see if he really took it serious?
I'm sure he does.
I'm sure he takes it seriously, but,
Yeah.
But I mean, as far as prioritizing, that's the problem. They only have so much time and money to do things, so.
correct.
If they could get back and say, we acknowledge your thing and it's on, tier 4 as far as priorities, and when we get to it, we'll get to it. So we know, kind of knowing, if people come up and say, why isn't it done? So.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And one way that we're open the communication lines are, I'm attending the weekly maintenance meetings that they take place Friday mornings. And during those meetings, they do discuss what's happening and where projects are, and if they're, and in the queue, where they are in the queue, things like that. So when I do get information, I can certainly follow or get back to you gentlemen.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you. Yeah.
All right.
Any other
Sounds good.
suggestions from anybody? As far as these goals, any of them that, that'd be part of the improved communications right there. That's. No more comments?
My only thing, and I think it'd be part of the improved communications, or could be a subset, not necessarily for the engaging the community in the decision-making process, but engaging the community. One of the things that I brought up to the city council last year, oh, I thought it was on.
Or is it?
Yeah, it's on.
Okay.
Last year when I applied for this position, is one of the things that I had a hard time finding was exactly what does our Parks and Recreation Department offer. It's hard to find on the website. It's on many different pages everywhere, and we don't have a good idea of what's available to us in the terms of courses and programs and services by the Recreation Department. And not knowing that and being able to find that easily, and especially like I found one area where the parks, you get a description of the parks, but there's no addresses to their parks. There's no map for the parks, for the out-of-town visitors to go and find them, so they don't know where the parks are at. So it's things like that we don't know. Like your question you got, didn't know that there was aquatics. Well, we need to be more involved in either improving the website where there's easy access, or some way that we can communicate more via marketing, whatever, what the Recreation Department has. Because until I had a one-on-one, I didn't really know what was going on in Morro Bay. And I got to tell you, I lose interest after going through several pages on a web page.
Right.
Yeah, some websites, you can go to one website, and to migrate through it is just a breeze. I mean, it's just a piece of cake. You get to some, and it's like, really? It's like I've got to go here, and then, maybe I'm going to look over there, and so websites can be a great tool for any entity, a city, a business, whatever, but it has to be
User-friendly.
very user-friendly.
Yeah, so just my suggestion, somehow, not only with improved website design, but how we can really maximize communications of what the Recreation Department has to offer to both the residents of the city as well as out-of-town guests. Especially like I mentioned, the parks, because I was kind of surprised because I wanted to see that I've been to each park, and I was like, I don't know where this park is, so it took a little research to find it because there was no address or no interactive map.
Yeah, GPS coordinates. I guess nowadays it'd probably be helpful to have
Yeah.
those on the website.
Well, if you have the address, that's all you need. Throw the address in there, GPS it, it'll take you right there.
Yeah. Okay, great suggestions, I think. So do we have all we need to on that?
If you're feeling comfortable with offering up these as goals that we would like to work towards achieving, yes?
I think, do we have any more? I think those are pretty good ones.
Well, I just have one to somehow advertise the benefits of individuals and companies to keep sponsoring events and areas. We have that. Certain people are sponsoring certain parks and things. If there's any way we could expand upon that, on our website, or, to invite people to participate more, and corporations, to contribute to the community.
That as a sponsor or a donor?
Right, correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And grants. I don't know if you have enough staff to be looking at grants for any of these things. I know that's a tough one. But just keep all the avenues open for whatever people can do to help. And there are tons of people that do help, and I thank you very much for your help.
That's the problem, is time consuming, and having the staff that can do that. I was going to bring that up when we go over some of the reports on the softball and all that stuff. I was going to bring up how maybe we could offset some of the loss on that, so I'll wait till then.
Okay.
But any other, as far as these goal setting that we want the city to kind of throw in for us?
Yeah,
Improve
I think we've covered it pretty well.
maybe keep enhancing pickleball, better website, I like that, more user-friendly, easy to get to.
Yeah.
Well, I'll put it this way in regards to pickleball. Who's ever first is best. If you lag behind and somebody else
Does it
puts a
first.
facility in, I consider it a loss. So our goal is to look at this community and we all know what we have to offer here. I mean, it doesn't get much better than this, And of course, then you have to look at the logistics. I mean, how many square miles do we have? And we have open space, this, that. How do we utilize that to the best of abilities? And then again, all of a sudden you have a sport that was started in 1965, but it's come to a new birth in the last 10 years, and now it's just exploding. Do we want to be part of that explosion and for the economic benefits of it? It's our decision. And if we choose not to, then that's what's going to happen, and somebody else is going to do it. And I would tell you right now, San Luis Obispo County it's just waiting to happen, and it's going to happen someplace. And I'm not saying that we have to have 50 courts here, but, again, I'll bring this up so you're aware of it. USAPA, the United States Pickleball Association, is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And, of course, if you hold a tournament, it has to be a sanctioned tournament. What sanctioned tournaments bring are people from outside, because not everybody in this tournament play is just here. There's only a certain entity of that. But when you can start bringing people from outside of here to play in a sanctioned tournament, and now there's new qualification rules that just started for 2019 to be able to play in the national tournament. So can we help accommodate that? If we have the facilities, we can. If we don't have the facilities, and so we have to look at all the integral parts of it that, and I'm pretty aware of it because I'm really involved in that. So, and I see what's happening in other areas. So we got to look at that, and it's an opportunity.
I think what the city needs to look at is investment versus return. And I think that's the key to anything,
Yeah, it's
How much are we going to invest, and when will it get our return back, and then turn a positive flow? And
It's called ROI,
Yeah.
return on investment.
yes, so that's kind of what they have to look at, and
So-
we have to be able to let them know certain things are valuable. They got to,
Well-
might not get it right back the first year, but maybe a couple
For
years after that.
instance, the Nationals that was held at Indian Wells, that brought in probably pushing $400,000, that one event.
Right.
So, and now I'm not saying that it's going to be that big, but just
Gotta
use the
start somewhere.
proportions.
Gotta start
And,
somewhere.
So,
If I could go ahead and reiterate then what I've picked up from this discussion is we have, as it relates to goal number 3, an increase in sport courts and fields. As it relates to goal number 2, work into the WRF program, a use of potable water. And as it relates to goal number 5, would be to open communication with other commissions, as well as improve website.
Yes, sounds good.
Yeah.
as well, and then also along with the number 5, I think, as Commissioner Espino had mentioned, maybe some interactive maps or addresses, things of that nature. So it's really, we're looking at communication.
Yes, exactly. So do I have a motion then to approve those recommendations and forward them to the city council?
I'll make a motion to approve that and forward it.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay?
None.
So 5-0 carries. All righty. So now we'll move on to staff report regarding holiday tree lighting celebration.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Back in December, seemed like so long ago, but it wasn't.
It was last year even.
It was last year. We did have our annual holiday tree lighting celebration held at City Park. As is typically done, we had Santa Claus arrive with Mrs. Santa and an elf on our fire truck to entertain the masses. We did have a few activities out there. Kids Club, Children's Center put on a small performance, as did our latest addition to our classes that we offer at the community center, the Desert Coast Dance Group. They provided a small performance as well. The Morbe High School Chamber Choir was out there and led us in a community sing-along. And we had the, where did his name go? Hernan Hernandez and family came out on their own to provide tamales and other goodies, as well as piñatas for the kids. So it was a fantastic event. We estimated about 225 folks participating this year.
Good.
And basically, it was a slight cost to the city of a little over $500. This is a zero cost recovery program, so it's a program that we provide as a benefit to the community without looking for any kind of return. You'll see a handful of recommendations provided by our youth services coordinator, Angelica Gallardo. But with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Well, I think probably next year we shouldn't have the lights for the tree, right? Once you buy lights, they should last a while.
Yes.
So that
Yes,
that'll help.
so we added some more, and thanks for bringing that up, Mr. Chairman. Is we did have difficulties this year with the lights on the tree, because we're using non-commercial type lights. We find that as you connect connect strands to one another, the moisture in the air due to the amount of rain that we had this over this last few weeks, or actually in December. Caused the whole park to blow the fuse, so the main fuse in the park blew. And then we'd have to go back and reset, but the point being is if there's any moisture, these strands were picking that moisture up and causing the breaker to break and do its job. So what we're looking at for next year is purchasing something that's more commercial, maybe something larger like those cafe lights that we see out and about, and so we won't have that problem because the connections are more waterproof and tight like that. We're not going to see those problems. So,
Okay.
yeah. But we did purchase additional lights because we felt we really wanted to light that tree up as it grows and gets a bit bigger.
I was going to say, plus it's growing, yes.
Yes.
Great. Oh, okay. So we have a recommendation to, what do you want to do? You want to accept and file?
I'll make that motion.
Motion is made and seconded to approve and file. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? So motion to accept and file. Next program is the Santa breakfast.
Breakfast with Santa. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This was a new program for Recreation Services this year. Excuse me. We hosted the Breakfast with Santa at the community center. Santa was there, of course, along with the Lions Club, who helped us with making the breakfast, which included pancakes and sausage, coffee and some fruit and orange juice, I believe they had. Some crafts and some face painting as well. So it was a fun event. Let me see, how did we end up with? About 88 tickets were sold. So there's a little over 100 folks that attended during that morning, including the city manager and his family. This was intended to be well, really, we didn't work it into our cost recovery pyramid, but you will see that we did recover roughly 160% of our cost.
That's fantastic. So as a first year, that's pretty good.
You
Yes.
made money.
Yes.
Yeah. That offsets the tree lighting event, so it's a wash.
Gives us money for lights, yeah.
Yeah.
Though
So-
that's not our intent to profit off of an activity like this, it did kind of open our eyes to, what we could charge, what the expenses were, how big do we want this event to really grow to. There is capacity to build it, but we're still kicking that idea around right now and how big we want it to be, things like that. So it was a fun event. And we'll get you guys out there next year to help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad to see that.
That's great.
I'm glad to see they got that response for it.
So happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay. Do we have any questions for the Breakfast with Santa?
Just keep Santa happy.
Keeps the kids happy.
He keeps them happy. If Santa's happy, the kids are happy.
You have to wait half an hour.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what happened to Santa over at the pool?
Kurt,
That's a great question.
who was it that played Santa?
Oh, Rich.
Santa.
Was it Rich?
Santa.
Just the rich
Cover
guy.
your ears out there.
The rich
TV
guy.
man.
No, we're not allowed to
Rich.
talk about that.
I know.
Well, it's after 7. Kids are in bed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we did have Swim with Santa, and I apologize, we don't have that evaluation here with us for this meeting. We'll make sure we have that one for you next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
But he was a busy guy.
Yeah.
Not only was he did get around, he's got that fast sleigh. Not only though did he do these events, but he was also on the Embarcadero at the Santa House
At
down
Santa
there.
House, yes.
Yeah.
On numerous evenings. So he was a busy guy.
That looked very well attended too, didn't it?
That was, yes. It was a good event.
I think this is the first year they've done that down there then too, right? At that location?
With the Santa House?
Yes.
No, we had that last year as well.
Oh, did you? At that location?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, so
Softball.
there was some recommendations, somebody told me about that. I can't remember now what they thought would be better improvement for the Santa house. I can't remember what it was. I'll have to talk to Santa, see what he said it
Okay.
was. Anyway, so do I have a motion to accept and file?
I better.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept and file.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded to accept and file. Any comments or anything? No. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. So accept and file. Moving on to C5, fall adult softball. Mr. Kirkmichael?
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. This report was submitted by our Recreation Supervisor of Sports, Karen Sweeney. And in regards to our 2018 Fall Adult Softball League. This league was conducted during August through November. 2 nights of play with 2 divisions. We had a co-ed division and a Masters over 50 with a total of 9 teams. They play 8 regular season games, and we also host an end-of-season tournament. As you can see with the fiscal impact, we did recover 84% of our cost, which falls in line with our target of 80 to 100% as a private service. We're happy with that. However, we are looking to increase the numbers. It's a low number for teams for a local league. We did not have the, we have a third. Pardon me as I have a brain moment. Well, anyway, had a few of those today.
Been one of those days.
Yes, pardon me. anyways, we are looking to increase the number of teams, of course, and are making efforts to do so. Short of going through the dollars and cents or the recommendations, I would open up for questions.
Okay, I just have one. I know I mentioned it once before, but I know you brought up it takes staff effort and time, but if we could solicit, like you already brought up, solicit people to put, get their banners around the back, around the fence, then we can knock the price down for the teams to come in, and maybe we could get a lot more teams if we could knock the price down a little bit for them and get the banners out there, and we still offset our costs.
Yes.
I know it's an effort to do that, so I don't know if we could do that.
I've discussed this with staff, and what I was told is they've had this in the past and found that there was theft of the banners at that park.
They need them for their shelters.
I'm sorry?
Don't say that.
They put them for their personal use.
Good. This microphone's off.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, maybe, I'm not sure how we could do it otherwise, and, well, the backstops, if we put them way up high, I don't think they could do them then if we get some, maybe way up high on the backstops, but somehow we could change it around.
Or if they're easy to take down, just take them down after the games.
That's possible.
I'm wondering, have we ever invited the Lions Club or anybody to serve food since they have that big barbecue area to make it, to help them, plus to make it a nicer event for the baseball
Not for
people?
a regular season play, no. No, there is.
So we have a concession stand,
There's a
right?
concession stand, but I don't believe we open that up for adult softball. It really isn't conducive to
The high school?
that group.
It's open for the high school though, right? Or when is it open? The concession stand,
We'll
sorry.
see that during Little League play.
Little League, that's what I was
sometimes we'll have that open during soccer season. And then there are occasions where there are tournaments that will open up that stand as well. And that's something on my list of things that I'd like to see improved and really more used. More used is what
sure.
Yeah. It's underused. It's really a matter of getting a service organization is looking to provide that service, not really make money from it, but just have something to offer the folks that are
Right,
out
that's
there
what
all
I was
day long.
thinking. And the Lions, I mean, they're good. They make great pancakes.
Yes. Yeah, they do.
Kurt,
Yes, sir.
what's the cost of the entry for a team?
Boy. I'd have to do some real quick math. I want to say around $400 or $500,
Okay.
but I'd have to do the quick math. Yeah, a little over $500.
Okay.
But a lot of times teams get sponsors.
Yeah, they get sponsors and,
For their own benefit there.
Yeah.
yeah.
But that helps them, it doesn't really help us. I just think keep turning it off. Like to say, the teams get their own sponsors to help offset it, but that helps them, it doesn't help us as a offset our program. So if we
Correct.
could do, like get these bat companies have the big, they got all kinds of money. So if we get the bat companies or the sporting goods stores to sponsor instead of just, because these local businesses, we're milking them to know tomorrow. So if we get these bigger businesses everybody buys bats, gloves, and batting gloves and all that type of thing. So if we get them in here, maybe that'd be a plus. Look at it.
And I have a question. Has the city looked into having, on a limited basis for events, the food trucks? Because say you had a big tournament and we made a deal with, let's say, 2 or 3 food trucks, and they give us a percentage of their sales back into Parks and Recs.
Yes.
Kind of be a win-win.
Yes, that is an option that's available right now.
Okay.
So with, though there's I'm not sure if it's a policy or ordinance that prohibits food trucks, they are allowed for special events if they're tied in with a special event.
Okay.
So we have had not a truck necessarily, but a concession booth at some of our, I think it was at a softball tournament or end of season tournament, something like that.
Okay, great. Anything we can do to make it, better, nicer
Yes.
for all of us.
I know some of the, you brought up, baseball bats. Franklin is big into baseball. gloves and stuff like that. I know that they do work pretty substantially in helping out special events. I'm not aware of where they do anything with leagues. That's more localized. But if it's a special event, you'd be surprised what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but they have to be approached. If they're not approached, guess what? They can't give an answer unless they've got a question in
If you
front of
don't ask, you don't get.
them. Yeah. So,
Yeah, and I'm sorry I can't speak directly to that. Karen Sweeney does work with the sponsors
Right.
and
yeah.
what you're referring to, so.
She'd probably be open to volunteers that would help her with it.
Well, I will bring up pickleball again, because
Okay.
I know what's happening there on special events. And right now, they're all bidding to get as much control as they can. And when it comes to special events, they're doing stuff at no cost. Supply, whether it's balls or whatever. And it's amazing what they're doing. And they're even going outside, across the pond, to help establish the game.
Nice.
So they look at it as an investment. That's their, and believe me, for them, I'm not sure what the ratio is, but for every ball that they give away, believe me, they're selling a whole lot.
Sure.
So, but again, they have to be approached.
Right.
So, all right.
If you have any questions relating to the staff report, I'd be happy to answer.
No questions?
That looks
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept and file?
I'll make a motion to accept and file.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Motion is made and seconded to accept and file C5. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none? Okay. Moving on to Agenda C6, which is the Estero Bay Youth Soccer. Mr. Carmichael?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, another report provided by Karen Sweeney, our Recreation Supervisor of Sports. The 2018 Estero Bay Youth Soccer League was conducted August through November. We had just a bit over 200 boys and girls with ages from 4 to 14. And we worked together with Los Osos, Templeton, and Cambria to provide this league. Basically because there aren't enough kids in the Estero Bay area at certain ages where we can play amongst ourselves. So we do reach out. And then we did have Templeton as well. As you'll see then, the fiscal impact portion of the report lets us know our cost recovery was at 95%, which is higher than our target cost recovery of 79%. A few recommendations, looking at an enhanced coaching clinic, referee clinics, really about educating parents and coaches of
Sportsmanship.
the subtleties of youth sports. Because as we know in the business, the most difficult thing of youth sports is the parents.
Yes.
Did I just say that on TV?
Exactly.
I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
I'm excited to see that we did so well with the recovery. That's good. I mean, if we get up to 100%, so we're at zero expense, that'd be super, but we're close. That's good.
Yes. And we try and keep our rates competitive, too. You know, we've got South Bay Soccer out of Los Osos, who has also quite a tremendous program there, and it's volunteer ran. So we still try and keep our registration rates around what they are. And Skip, don't ask me what it is. I don't know what the fee was offhand.
Kurt, do you have there were 201 boys and, okay, 220, okay, that's fine. I got it right here.
So is it growing over every year? Is it staying about the same? Or?
I think we stay right about the same. It's just a little fluctuations here. We see population changing. We've seen elementary schools build and then close, especially in Los Osos. They built a new elementary school and years later ended up closing one. We've seen Morrow Elementary next to the community center close down. So it's really based on, population and you see it go up and down. And then some of the kids, might prefer to play in Los Osos or move on to traveling team, club teams, things of that nature.
Right.
Yeah, so we're right about in the same, I believe, as we have seen over the last few years. This year we did have a new young man on board with us as our sports coordinator for youth, and he brought in a different energy. And I can't really say that it was due to this young man that we did so well, but he's a good guy, and
Good.
and happy to have him on staff as well. So
Okay, good. I was just wondering how the youth population is in the city, so if it's staying about the same, that's good.
the population of Morro Bay hasn't changed, I don't think, probably by maybe 100 people over the last 30 years.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Carmichael?
No.
See none?
I will say this, just so you have a little ratio of what's happening here. So you take your net loss and you divide it by 201.
Mm-hmm.
So that was $6.23 per child playing soccer for what, close to 12 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
And you talk about a return on investment. That's cheap
Yes.
for what they're going to get out of what they get in soccer and all the participation and everything.
Yep.
I mean, that's an investment in our youth.
Absolutely.
It's phenomenal.
Thank
Great
you for
job.
pointing that out. Thank you.
Yeah, great job to you and your staff.
And we're always looking for coaches. So a shout out there to those out there listening. Youth coaches are always needed, as are lifeguards, as are sports staff and officials.
And you have the training for them, so they don't have to be, well vested in that. They can be trained and jump right out there.
That's it.
Okay. Yeah, I hope we get some in there. Some good coaching. It always makes a difference on far as kids coming. If you got some good quality coaching, the kids will come.
Absolutely.
Makes a difference.
Yes.
All right. Do I have a motion to accept and file?
I so move.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Motion been made and seconded to accept and file C6. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So be it. Carried. And my page just jumped out of order here, so bear with me. Let's see what's next here. Oops. That's it, I believe, right?
Future agenda items.
Oh, yes, future agenda. Do
Back to the future.
we have any recommendations for future agenda items you'd like to bring up? Anybody?
Not I.
The only thing that's going to continue with me is, well, not the only thing, but the one that's priority.
Wait, let me guess.
Gosh, what would you think? No, but I think it's something that we have to keep in mind, that we have a great opportunity here. And thank God we have it. And it's such a family-orientated sport, and that's pickleball.
I'm not sure I understand.
Come on. I'm not computer savvy.
All right. So-
Alexa.
I know, if you hit a button, it wants to do something.
Yeah.
So, I agree. I think the city's fantastic. You just got to make. The city's fantastic. I think we just got to make sure everybody knows that. And once again, go back, check on everything that's available to you, and hopefully, maybe the website might be a little more user-friendly if we can get a web genius in there to figure them out. Because I know some websites you want to throw a stick at or something. Are these guys idiots? They don't even know what they're doing. I mean, I could probably do better in some of them, but anyway, I doubt it. But I think we have a good, friendly user website, get people to look at it. They'll find all these activities available to them and find out what a great community it is. Good to live here and enjoy. So with that, I think I will adjourn this meeting at 7:34. Is that a record?
PM, Pacific Standard Time.
PM, Pacific Standard Time.
Thank you.
And don't forget, next meeting is going to be the March 21st, was it? I had it here, it was on the thing. I think it's the third Thursday in March. I think it's the 21st.
21st.
At the same time, 6 p.m. here at the Veterans Memorial Building. And hopefully, if you have any questions, you can call the city council, not city council, but the rec department and bring up any questions there. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.